1984 in South Central Los Angeles, young Trey Styles grows up aware of the violence happening around him. But the boy is smart, and he excels in his class. The children's drawings show how hood these kids are. One day, Trey makes a joke in class, and his teacher asks him to go in front and continue the lecture himself. Trey doesn't back down. He starts talking about how his father told him that everyone is from Africa, and even when his classmates laugh at him, he continues his lecture. One of his friends taunts him, saying he'll get his brother to shoot Trey. Strong fatherless behavior energy coming from Trey's friend. Trey snaps and says he'll call his father because at least he got one. Oh, look, I was right. The teacher tries her best to stop the kids from fighting, but the boys refuse to listen and start beating up each other. I just know this white woman over it. When the teacher calls, she tells Trey's mother how he's such a smart boy, but his short temper gets in the way. Though they both try to be understanding at first, Reva and the teacher fail to see eye to eye. She then tells the teacher that Trey is no longer going back to school. Raising a child as a single mom must be hard.
A single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops.
Reva doesn't hide her disappointment. As soon as Trey gets home, she starts lecturing and reminding him about their agreement. If he misbehaves, then he has to live with his father. Okay, but why Angela Bassett looks pretty much the same today? Furious Styles is happy to see his son, knowing that he's staying with him for good. Okay, a young Morpheus can get it. Reva asks him to take care of Trey since he told her before that it's his job to teach him how to become a man. Although Trey is sad that he's leaving his mother behind, he has no other choice. Reva says it's only temporary as she has to focus on school to get a better job. The kids in the neighborhood are familiar because Trey used to stay with his father during the weekends. However, on his first day, Furious makes him rake the leaves while the other kids play. Later that night, Furious reminds him of the house rules. Trey remembers that he has to do the chores and make sure that everything is always clean, and his father will provide for him. Furious explains to his son that he's not being too hard on him. Rather, he's teaching him how to be responsible. He says that Trey's friends don't have anyone to teach them because they're all fatherless. Trey is overjoyed when his father calls him a prince and that he's glad to have him around. Prince? He done fooled you because you's a maid. That night, Furious is awakened by an intruder breaking into his house while Trey pees. Furious takes his gun and shoots at the man, but he misses, leaving holes on his front door. Meanwhile, Trey over here done pissed all over himself, literally. Trey thinks his father should have blew the burglar's head off, but Furious explains that it would be contributing to the killing of another brother. After an hour, the police finally arrive. The black police officer says, "It's too bad Furious didn't kill the intruder because it would be one less N-word to deal with." Damn, talk about friendly fire. This Uncle Ruckus-looking ass hate his own kind. Trey visits his friends a few days after, brothers Darren and Ricky. Their mother, Brenda, scolds Darren, telling him how he'll never amount to anything because he's just like his father. This mom over here calling her son a fat fuck. But she treats her son, Ricky, a whole lot better. The boys start off by fighting over Brandi, a young girl who just moved in from across the street. But when they realize their argument has no point, they decide to visit their other friend, Chris. Darren warns Ricky not to take his football with him because the big kids will only take it from him, but Ricky doesn't listen to him. The boys decide to check out a dead body around the area, even though it already started to smell. By the time they decide it's time to go home, the big kids have arrived and asked for the football. Darren knows the football is important for Ricky because his father gave it to him, so even though he's a lot smaller, he tries to fight to get it back. I don't care what anyone says about this big back boy. He stood up to someone half his size. Luckily, one of the big kids feel bad and decide to return it. Furious is serious about being a good father, and he always lectures Trey, teaching him about respect, responsibility, and that stealing isn't necessary. He shares that he was only 17 when Reva got pregnant, and all of his friends were dropping out of school, drinking, getting high, and getting into trouble. He didn't want that for himself, and he wanted to be a good example to his future kid, so he decided to join the army. Furious advises Trey never to join the army because a black man has no place in it. When they return home, Trey sees Darren and Chris being escorted to a police car after they were caught stealing. 7 years later, and I'm still sitting here watching their lives unfold. Trey has grown into a responsible young man. Darren just got out of prison and his family are celebrating his return. Look at that guy recording the party with the biggest iPhone I done ever seen. Brenda asks Trey to talk some sense into Darren so he stops getting into trouble. A lot of young women are eyeing Trey, but he only has eyes for Brandi. This is the most hood I've seen Regina King playing a girl named Shalika. And look at this goofy guy with a pacifier. While getting a haircut, Furious asks Trey if he's ever done the whoopee. So Trey confesses that he met a beautiful girl while hanging out with his friends. She ignored everyone and walked straight to Trey after she noticed his car. Trey flirted a little and asked for her number, promising to teach her how to drive. She contacted him, and he came over when her mother and grandmother were both at church. They did the deed upstairs and enjoyed the ride. When all of a sudden, the grandmother came back. He says Grandma can smell the sex in the air. Trey managed to escape, but that was the last time he heard from the girl. Furious is disappointed after learning that Trey didn't use a condom because the woman said that she was taking pills. The next day, Trey confesses to Ricky that he lied for the first time to his father. Ricky is confused at first, then he bursts out laughing when he learns that Trey is still a virgin. "It's okay, Trey. I'm still 1 and I'm 45. Trey then admits that he's afraid of being a father, and that's what's stopping him from doing it. While Ricky is busy being a good athlete, Trey is busy trying to convince Brandi to sleep with him. But Brandi insists that it goes against her morals as a Catholic and that she wants to get into college first. "I heard Catholics are the freakiest TBH. Darren, on the other hand, still gets in trouble. He's not in school and he doesn't have any job. Because Ricky is a good athlete, he is offered a scholarship in USC. All he has to do is score over 700 on his SAT test. Trey visits his father at his office one day, and he and Ricky receive a lecture about business. Furious takes them to a neighborhood and explains the meaning of gentrification. An older man blames the younger generation. However, Furious says there's a reason there's a gun shop and liquor store at every corner in the black community. They want the black community to kill themselves. Morpheus out here, speaking on facts. One night, someone tries to mess with Ricky, so Darren steps in to defend his brother. He takes out his gun to scare the other group off. They think that the problem is over, but they hear gunshots and so they start driving away to avoid trouble. Trey and Ricky are together when the cops tell them to pull over. The black police officer points a gun at Trey, taunting and mocking him, saying the N-word. Trey cries, but he looks at the officer straight in the eyes. When they realize they got the wrong people, the police officer wishes him a safe night. This is why you can't trust any cop. Trey heads to Brandi's house to spend some time with her. Brandi senses something is wrong, but Trey refuses to talk about it. Instead, he starts punching the air, crying and swearing at the same time. He's tired of living in such a dangerous neighborhood. She comforts her boyfriend, and Trey continues to let out more than just his frustration. He also lets his thing out, and Brandi lets it in. Furious meets up with Reva so they can talk about Trey. Reva is frustrated that Trey doesn't want to go home to her anymore, and she wants Furious to do something about it. But Furious says Trey is already an adult capable of making his own decisions. One morning, Darren notices a red car roaming in their neighborhood, checking their house. He knows they are the people from the other night, and he's not planning on backing down. When Ricky comes out of the house to buy something for his girl, he argues with Darren over something small. Brenda slaps Darren to stop him from hitting Ricky. Even though Darren knows his mother favors his brother Ricky all the time, he's still surprised his mother slapped him. Ricky confesses that he's thinking about joining the army. He says he wants to make something of his life, and he's convinced joining the army will help him do that. While walking, Trey and Ricky notice the red car following them. They manage to escape before the group catches them. Thinking that they are finally safe, Ricky suggests they walk separately. However, the car shows up again, and there's not enough time for Ricky to escape. Someone from the car shoots him twice and he falls to the ground. Trey runs to help Ricky, but it's already too late because he's already dead. He screams for help, but no one hears him. Darren and his friends arrive a little too late, so Darren just carries his brother to the car with Trey's help. They bring Ricky's dead body back home. His girlfriend cries as she holds their son, so Darren tries to take the baby, saying he doesn't need to see his dead father. But Ricky's girlfriend refuses to hand the baby over to his uncle. When Brenda walks in and finds Ricky on the couch, she cries and starts hitting Darren. She blames him for Ricky's death and pushes him away even when he tries to comfort her. Trey can't say anything when Brenda asks him what happened. Instead, he tells Darren to meet him at his house in 5 minutes. The news has spread so fast and the neighborhood starts talking about it. Brandi tries talking to Trey, but he pushes her away and tells her to go home. Furious sees Brandi crying, so he comforts her immediately. When he learns what happened, he wants to talk some sense into Trey. He finds him taking the gun from under the bed and loading it, so he waits for him as he blocks the door. He knows that Trey has just lost his best friend and wants to avenge his death. But Furious insists that what happened to Ricky is his family's problem, and Trey is his responsibility. Trey doesn't hide the fact he wants to shoot Ricky's killer, so Furious tells him to shoot him first. He challenges Trey and asks if he wants to end up in a wheelchair or end up in prison like Darren. Though Trey is mad with anger, he slowly hands the gun to his father and starts crying. Furious pulls him into a hug and tells him how much he loves him. When Brandi walks in to talk to Trey, she finds out that he has left the house through the window. Furious is dumbfounded when he realizes what his son did, but Trey's already too far to be chased. That night, Trey sits on the back seat of Darren's car. Darren and his friends are all looking for Ricky's killer, and they are prepared to kill. Trey remembers his father's advice to him, and he asks Darren to pull over so he can get out of the car. The others are confused, but Darren doesn't argue and just lets him out. Meanwhile, Brenda finds out that Ricky scored over 700 on his SATs. Darren and his friends continue searching for hours, but they have failed to find the men, so they decide to stop for food. They are surprised when they find the group happily chatting and eating outside a convenience store. Darren turns off the headlights so as not to alert the group of their arrival. However, one of the men recognizes them and tells the others to start running, but they haven't really gotten that far when Darren's friend starts firing at them. They know they have to get out of there immediately before the authorities arrive, but Darren wants to make sure every single one of his brother's killers are dead. The bleeding man begs, saying he was not the one who pulled the trigger and killed Ricky. But Darren is deaf to his pleas and he shoots the man multiple times until he's dead. Trey arrives home and finds that his father is waiting for him. However, Furious doesn't say anything to him and he slams his bedroom door shut. In the morning, Darren tells Trey how he no longer has a brother and a mother. Trey comforts his friend, saying he still has him as a brother. The next day, Ricky is buried, and 2 weeks after that, Darren is murdered. In the fall, both Trey and Brandi go to different colleges. What do you guys think?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.